we start in time, because that is the best practices we follow. It's not that people will be joining in, will wait. So let people join in. Meanwhile, let us start. So initial agenda for myself will be the introduction. As many of you know, Infosec Foundation is a non-profit platform. We are working for last 3 years across community, across different regions and geographies to spread cybersecurity awareness inside the community, inside the ecosystem. Part of that initiative in COVID time, when we were in the lockdown phase, we thought something interesting. Let's do something interesting. So we thought of webinars. So I know many of us are already bored with webinar because already started with webinars. Every day, I myself get around 4 odd webinars, all different tools. In these circumstances, part of Infosec Foundation, we thought, let us try to do something different. So in that context, every Saturday we are conducting in the morning time and 11 o'clock we are conducting some kind of webinars with some different subjects. The intention is, let us see the situation a little different. Many of you already attended our last 3 webinars, many of you not. So let me give you a summary. First one was with Ali Bhatia and really talked about mental health, cyber psychology. Then it was Shudeep. Shudeep talked about mind power and technology. And the third one, last week, it was by Pritam Bhattacharya. He spoke about business philosophy. So today's topic is also very interesting. We will try to uh, harp on in a different subject, which will be handled by Tathagato. Our today's topic is how effective drill can be help to avoid disasters in this pandemic kind of crisis situations. So before we start today's session, it's my duty to introduce Tathagato. Tathagato Datto is the director, cybersecurity and praxis business. He is an industry veteran and cybersecurity practitioner for last 20 years in his domain. Uh, his forte encompasses information security audit, cyber risk management, cyber incident management, and digital forensics. He was instrumental in setting cyber range in Gurgaon along with NCIPC. He is also a cyber risk analyst. He is having a lot of domain expertise, handling critical infrastructures in power and energy BFSI sectors. He has worked not only in India, in other global clients as well. In his stint, he has worked in many organizations. He is also a BSI auditor. So from here, I'll hand the baton to Tathagato. Before that, I'll also try to put the thumb rule as I always do. During his presentation, all of you, all the participants, I will request all of you to be on mute. We are intentionally stopping the videos so that there should not be any bandwidth crunch. During the presentation, if any one of you having any queries, you can use the chat box. As a moderator, I'll try to park the questions and translate back to Tathagato. Once presentation is finished or more presenter stops the presentation and asks questions, we can definitely unmute ourselves and shoot the queries. So that's it. From here, I hand over the button to Tathagato. Tathagato, all yours. Take us through the journey.
Hope I am audible.
Yeah, clear.
Okay. So, thanks for giving me an opportunity to interact with my fellow industry friends. And when Shushoban asked me to present something, I was a bit scared because presenting in this time to an webinar, normally people get scared. Every day there are uh, webinars and webinars. We all are facing this as a challenge. Oh my God! Again, we have to participate in another webinar. So I'm sure that the same feeling is there, probably, and keeping that in mind, I will try to not bore you so much. My presentation does not contain any technical stuff, neither nor any process thing, because I neither understand technology nor the process. Throughout my career, I have tried to understand people only. So during this session, I will try to share some of the experiences, and I would request Shushabon to allow some the attendees, because in some of the cases I would require more of interaction.
Sure, no
So,
problem. As
with
I
your
said,
consent,
Tathagat,
yeah,
just a second. Your voice is coming little jittery. I don't know, some McAfee or some processing was happening. So sometimes it's
yeah, yeah,
coming little
stop that.
jittery.
Yeah. So, is it clear now?
The sound is clear. In between, it is coming little jittery. I don't know why.
Yes, something is coming up. It's a normal, update. I have tried to avoid it.
Sure.
So,
Go ahead.
with your consent, I'm proceeding. So, everyone, today is 25th April, right? So, I hope everybody remember the day, because I am forgetting whether today is Monday, Tuesday, or because whole in the entire week I am sitting at home. Anyone who remembers? It's just a test that we are at our good state of mind. Uh, I assume. So let's proceed. This is a webinar or seminar on web where we try to put some light on uh, drill as a practice, how it can help us to avoid a situation which can cause disaster. Before I proceed, I'd like to bring certain things um, in a common platform. We understand that only my knowledge level is at a high level. So I bring everyone at my level so that I can deliver this particular session in a very lucid manner. So this is a disclaimer from my side. Every day we are watching many webinars. So what could be the takeaway? So at the end of the session, I can assure that I will take 1 hour. But from your side, you may not find anything new. So and
Yeah,
disclaimer
Tathagata,
and
Shushabon,
yes.
hold on. There are a lot of disturbance. People are also saying. So I don't know. Your internet
yeah,
is little disturbing or what is it? Your voice is cracking.
Am I audible now?
You are
yeah,
audible.
you are audible, but it's a problems is that I think Tathagato, just wait for a minute or two. I think the your update will get finished, then your bandwidth will be better also.
Okay,
If it is that is the problem.
Yeah, I also assume because it's
could be.
system task, something is happening. Meanwhile, you can also do like that.
Yep.
There's a DR kind of a plan. You can install the WebEx in your mobile also. You can run the slideshow from here and talk from mobile. That is also okay if you feel so.
Uh,
Otherwise, we can wait for a minute with the permission from the.
yeah, it should not take much time.
Meanwhile, we can take some feedback from the audience. So all of you have
Yes, please.
we have seen the topic today. So what do you think? What is your expectation? What do you thought of? What will be covered in today's session? What is your understanding? Any of you in the audience can unmute talk. You might have seen the topic today. So what is your assumption? What we are going to talk? Anyone will start talking as a volunteer?
Yeah,
So
hi.
Shushabon,
This is Mansi.
yeah,
Yeah, Mansi.
Yeah, so what I feel is that what we're going to cover is that how, if we anticipate something is going to happen and we
Okay.
do a mock drill on it, that how it really, benefits us rather than getting into a reactive mode and then on live situations taking action. So it is more on a proactive approach of, working with disasters so that we are ready. We have plans in place, plan A, B, and C. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's see what happens at the end. Anyone else having any idea what we are going to
yeah.
talk?
I believe it will be a session which can have you can you say some proactive measures or some of the disaster what is there. So we can get a approach or we can get an idea that how to avoid a disaster, or we can be alert on ourselves and we can alert to our customers also that what are the things the person or a particular organization can take care in this scenario to avoid a further disaster or maybe some disruptions on the infrastructure on the remote working, and maybe in all our general day-to-day life also, since this is a unique situation. And I think everybody is having this first time and we don't have any history of this also.
All right.
Yes. Uh, I will bring some of the use cases which I came across during some of my audits, and try to explain or would like to know your view on this, and that may bring some clarity on or give some direction that in a regular day-to-day life, if we take care of certain aspect of our operation, then it helps actually. So,
No, so your
is
update
my voice?
is done, update is done, or it is still happening?
No, I have stopped it.
But still, I think
So, is my voice clear now?
still I think the jittery problem is still there. It's not that seamless and smooth.
So, but I can hear everyone here.
No. So keep talking. So we can
So,
test.
yes, if anyone else share his or her view.
Probably we can ask him to connect the audio through the phone.
That's what I was suggesting. So let it be your screen should be there in the slideshow. You can connect the audio from your mobile. So I don't know. There is an internet bandwidth problem also can be your end. I don't know. Is it possible to connect this one also? Let the slideshow be there. Don't remove the slideshow because people will see from the this thing only. But you can also connect from the mobile.
Let me do that.
If the update is done, can he reconnect?
That is also one
Yes,
option as
the
you said.
up,
That is also one option as you said. Maybe you can log out and log in for just checking for the instance.
yes.
That will be the best option, I guess. So, audience, apologize for the inconvenience, but that is the kind of crisis. A real life testing is happening. So, if some disaster happens in a live environment, how we can handle, how we can come up with the alternatives. So, let's see. So, Syed, what do you think?
Drill was not there.
Sorry? Syed, what do you think?
There was no drill.
Sorry? No
There
drill.
was
No,
no
drill
drill
is
before
there.
this disaster.
No drill. So drill will come. So drill will come. So that's what we are trying to demonstrate. If there is a no drill, what is the problem can happen.
So this was a planned demonstration, I think.
Yeah, that's what we are trying to project. Yeah, that's what we are trying to project. So Amitavo, you are having any queries? Anything? Any
No,
thought process?
no. Basically,
Question?
drills make you disaster compatible.
Yeah,
So, so,
absolutely.
uh, so basically, Shushavan, what will be the theme of our topic on this basis? What do we have to say anything, or will this be
No.
a?
Tathagata will give the run through the presentation. Post the presentation,
Okay.
you can share your views, you can ask questions. So this is a session where we are trying to run
Yeah.
through with real life case studies. So what how
Yes.
drill can help you in avoid disaster, kind of crisis
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, basically from my work environment, basically I can say that we are sometimes having the biological and chemical warfare drill, basically, and that's basically when some types of phosgene gas, when you are attacked by phosgene gas or nerve gas, whatever the gases may be, like the present things which we are having masks, wearing masks now. So we have drills like this basically. So really drills makes us much more stronger, and the present situation with COVID that we are having. So it's basically the mask is so important for now at this stage. So I just want to share that even if any kind of washing hands is also there, but the masks which were not using frequently before, but now even after the lockdown is taken off, we have to even going to the public places and using public transport, the mask is very important now. So basically we have gone through this type of marks in 95, in 64, and these are high-end marks, but still at least to cover our nose and mouth, this is very important, so which I'd like to share with everyone.
Sure. All right. Tadagato
Yeah.
is back. So, Tadagato, are we audible to you?
Uh, audible?
Tadagato, are you there?
Uh, yes, I can hear you. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. So
Yeah.
maybe you can float your presentation and then we'll let us see how it goes.
Yep.
And for the sake of avoid this disturbance, you can talk little slow also. I don't know. Sometimes some lag is also there. That some problem. You can talk little.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. So, is it better?
I think so.
Yes, clear.
Yes. So, what a disaster on, so apt for today's topic. So, let me, continue. So, as I was saying, maybe at the end of the day, you may not find anything new, but still, let me try to bring some use cases, and I'd also like to know your perception on them. So, some basic understanding. What we understand when we talk about disaster is basically a panic situation. We don't know what can happen, and we are clueless, and probably none of our plan works, and we become helpless. So normally we term it a disaster, and in past few years we have suffered these kind of situations time and again, right? In 2018 there was a natural disaster in the southern part of India. The entire Kerala flooded, and the friends who live in those areas, they actually didn't have any clue. There was no food, nothing. 2 3 years back, there was a situation in one of the uh, largest and nationalized bank of Bangladesh. Millions of dollars were siphoned out, and it got a huge impact on the financial system on that, and that too was considered as a disaster on the BFSI sector. Then again, in 2016, we have the largest ransomware attack across the globe, and that was one of the biggest disaster that happened on the IT system. So whenever this kind of attacks, we we face this kind of attack, it gives us some direction that probably we have missed out something. But I can remember from this particular incident, ransomware, there was a CISO event going on at Pune. Almost 100 of CISOs were there. I was also there. And during the lunch time, in the lobby, suddenly some calls started coming to all of our mobiles, and the scenario started changing. And then we realized something has happened, and everybody was trying to gauge what has happened. Some incident that I can remember. One of my friend was frustrated. He was saying his AV manager was giving a different asset number. His AD manager was given a different asset number, and his SOC was giving a different asset number. That probably gave him a hint that something went wrong. In case of crisis, they're supposed to protect the assets, and if they do not have the actual uh, count of the asset, so how will they protect? So every time we face a attack which leads to a disaster or any natural disaster, always has been a learning experience for me. And this we know, and none of us were ever thought of this may happen, and the whole world can stand still. So all these incidents is basically uh, give us some hint towards identifying risk. So what is risk? We all know. I'm not trying to give any gyan, but just to bring set the context. The risk is uncertainty of outcome. When we are not aware of what may happen, the outcome is uncertain, then we term it as risk. And then what is control? Control is something by apply of which we may mitigate the risk. And 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 the drill is actually will help us to check the effectiveness of this, right? So uh, just a question to all of you. This is a lock. Can we consider this as a control? Anyone, please?
Yeah, we can consider as a control.
Yes. So if we
But
store something in it, yeah, please.
but if it is the lock is unlocked, then you cannot say it as a control.
Correct. So we have not applied it. So if we consider this as a control, that control is effective when we apply it, right? So if we store something in some of the almirahs or drawers, and if we think that that contains some valuables, then we can apply this kind of locks to ensure that it should not get stolen, right? Similarly, I think all of us will agree this is also an control, right? The door lock. So whenever we park our car, we make sure that we have locked the door of our car. Then what is drill? I'm sure whenever we talk about drill, this picture does not come in our mind. But if I just go back to these two previous slides, so can anyone tell me that whenever we have applied this law, probably all of us have pulled it to check whether it has been locked properly or not, isn't it? So we know this is a system which will give me assurance. So once we apply this, after applying this, we normally try to pull it by pushing some force and check whether it has been locked properly or not, right? Even if for this particular case, once we use our infrared teeth, and then also we try to pull it and see whether it has been locked properly or not. So the objective is to be doubly ensured, and this is exactly what the drill is. So we know we have applied controls at the relevant points, but we should also make sure these applied controls are effective. So drill is basically, as we know, it ensures the effectiveness of the control. So if we, by our risk assessment, if we think that we need a physical security as a control to protect some of the areas. So applying this as a control, putting a security guard does not absolve our responsibility. The security may fall dozed off, or may not be attentive to his duty. So applying control is not enough. We need to ensure the controls are effective, and only drill can help us to ensure that the controls that we have applied are actually fit for purpose, and it is suitable, and it is actually giving us or ensuring us the desired outcome. So I would like to mention some of the very basic drills which are very easy to perform. Like everyone, we normally take backups, but we should also try and restoration drill, and these are the very basic stuff that every organization follows. We may have some critical devices, but how often do we perform a failover test? Maybe our gateway device have multiple ISP links, and it may be configured in a way that if one link goes down, the whole traffic will get routed through a different path. But how frequently, how religiously we conduct a drill and see unplugging the one of the ISP's cable, whether the traffic is getting routed through the different thing. These are the very fundamental tests that we can do. We are backing up our critical devices by UPSs, but we should also check the capability of the UPS in an off-peak hour, and that switching off the mains, whether the UPS is actually serving the purpose. Because in so many cases we have seen that at the point of emergency, at the point of need, these critical devices fails to perform. The firewall rules. I have one of the use cases here. We'll discuss the endpoint and email DLPs. So we all are rest assured that our workstations are installed with endpoints, but the team should also conduct a drill by trying to copy something to a pen drive, or try to send some sensitive information through the email and check the effectiveness of those policies. Like phishing emails. On the other day, Shushopan was talking about some test which can be conducted by sending emails to the employees and see whether they are responding to them or their awareness level is at par. So these drills are very very basic drills we all are aware of. uh, we all do access right reconciliation. Sometimes we have seen major incidences that has happened, that employee has left the organization, but somehow his or her email ID remains activated, and that cause a massive impact on the organization, because that employee at the scope to use the official email ID post his or her release. So these basic drills can always help us to eliminate the chances of uh, attacks or some cyber incidents. Especially this is meant for the cyber part. And moving forward, I would like to bring one case. I would request all of you to kindly read this, and if anyone can volunteer and tell me that what went wrong in this particular case. I must tell you, this is one of the live cases that I came across a few days back while conducting an audit.
Hi, Tadhakat. I think there are two aspects to this. One was that
Yes,
acceptable usage policy was not followed, and second, the technical controls were not working. Normally, she is
right,
prohibited from installing software.
correct. I appreciate. Any other?
Yeah, I think the first one important thing is that there was no proper IT policy, and the user has downloaded. That means she has got that option on a laptop to download software. So that should not be there in a corporate environment. So that has to be that lock is not there. Second factor is that her endpoint security is also not working properly, or the IT team has
Mhm.
never try to check whether the endpoint security what they have using, whether that endpoint security has a sufficient capacity to stop these types of malafide attack, or that endpoint security is properly configured or not.
Right. May I know your name, please?
Dipojyoti Banerjee.
Hi, Dipujati. So, yes, you are absolutely right. And anyone else wants to share his or her view?
She didn't know what to do. She was not aware of the problem that can occur after the download.
Correct.
Yeah, basically lack of awareness actually. Awareness is very
Mm,
important for the user, even
yes,
the
awareness
user
has
end.
always been, important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes,
Uh,
uh, yes, please. Anyone
Yes,
trying to say something?
one thing that is I am concerned about, that each and
Mm-hmm.
every employee can download anything, but in his
Mm-hmm.
laptop or desktop, something like this. But the incidentally,
Mm-hmm.
he shouldn't allow to install it, because there should
Right.
be administrative rights and all the things will be in the system, so that the general user are not allowed to install any unauthorized software or anything in their laptop or desktop. So that is the thing I think it is important for that in this case.
Correct. Correct. Uh, I appreciate. So, let
Another
me.
thing,
Yes, please.
sorry, yeah, another thing I think,
Uh,
this is Ganesh. So another thing I believe there was no proper drill activity was performed. So this is the main thing. If there was a proper drill
Yes.
or proper initiative was taken
uh,
proactively, then we could have avoid such
Avoided.
scenario. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
another thing I just want to add, that some person has
Mm-hmm.
said that lack of awareness, but that is
Mm-hmm.
normally cannot expected from all the normal users. You see,
Correct.
their job is not to be aware of these IT types of things. For that, that is in the IT team or IT manager or CIOs are particularly there in organization. So
yes,
normally
Maybe,
yes.
they will
but I
take
maybe
care of
he
disagree.
these types
hinted.
of things.
So,
That is expected.
sir, can I say one thing?
Yes, please.
So the user should have been should she should do one thing. She just see the software which may be which can be used for that. So she would have make a request in one IT or somewhere like that for installation of the software. That will be much better. So that will have the proper tools and it will have a proper security.
Okay. So, I appreciate everyone for sharing their view, and everyone is having each experiences. But let me also share my experience. What has happened at this particular client place, and probably who has mentioned about awareness. This awareness is equally applicable to the IT team. That does not restricted to the users. Maybe the IT team was also not aware of what to do and how to do. Probably, I don't know. So what has happened? So mm, it happened in one of the national critical infrastructure. So there was a malware attack, and while doing the investigation, that uh, this particular thing got surfaced. Right. So the main thing, which everyone has already shared, an employee was working on a project and had to give a presentation to the prospective client. So probably the employees who gives a presentation to a client is generally they are in pre-sales team or sales team or marketing team, and they are normally mobile users. They keep roaming. What had happened in this particular case, the lady who actually tried to download this freeware, she was on her tour for maybe 1 week and so, and she came back and connected her laptop with the corporate network, but it did not get the necessary updates from the AV. But the surprising fact that came, you know, or maybe it's not surprising, it is very common everywhere, that the IT team said that, sir, the most expert from the industry who came, who have configured our firewall policies are in line with the IT policy, and it ideally should not allow anyone to download anything, but they have never tested it. And while doing the investigation, it also came into picture that the the sync between the AD policies and the firewall policy was also uh, uh, not working. So there were some changes in the user profile, which got shifted, the policies were not updated, and none of them conducted any drill for last 2 years, neither on the firewall policies, not on the AD. None of them has checked whether the antivirus is working properly or not. So a simple drill or a very scheduled, structured drill would have helped them to avoid a scenario. And this ended up in a situation where there were an ransomware attack. So the whole business got disrupted, and they have a massive impact because they are a critical infrastructure. A simple lacuna in the system was such a critical thing. So why I have referred this particular case, I think everyone contributed equally, that a drill
Yeah.
would have helped us to avoid this situation. Yes, someone tries to.
Tathagata, just I want to add in there, in most
Yeah.
of the customers' places, which has been observed, that you were talking that a firewall policies was there, but the firewall policy was not at all working. But the thing is that in this case, what you have mentioned, this person is a mobile user. So she has taken a laptop to somewhere else, maybe in a hotel or maybe in her house or anywhere, maybe customer place. So there, obviously, as soon as she goes out of the network, the firewall policy will not applied on his laptop.
Correct.
And the thing is that the IT team has said no, the antivirus is not downloaded and these things. That first thing what I have said, that antivirus when they have applied, they should have a policy, and the IT team should be keep in mind that all the mobile users should be given a different profile, so that and the antivirus should has the capacity to block download on everything just like on firewall, so that if the particular person is out of the network, then also through antivirus, this process of all the firewall, what firewall can take care, that is content filtering, stopping of the download and all that should be also be extended to the endpoints at least for the mobile users, so that
Correct.
if the firewall policy fails, there is always a fallback, and when the person goes out of the network, this antivirus policy will work, and
I
in the
do.
antivirus console they should have the reports and everything, so that has been ignored, or
Correct.
maybe
I
they
do
are not
fully agree.
aware of that.
Yeah, I do fully agree with you. But this particular case, the lady came back and joined the office 15 days back, and for that particular period, 15 days, there were no policy, no system of checking. No one has checked. So everyone, our normal behavioral pattern is, until unless something happens, we think we are safe and secure.
No, that is
So
yeah, it is a human nature.
human nature. So
মানে চোর পালালে বুদ্ধি বাড়ে আর কি, like that sort of thing.
correct. So
But the
what had
thing is
happened?
that no, just I think what you have said, if the person is away from the network for 1 month also, the today's world, all the proper enterprise antivirus software and endpoint security, they have the capacity that if they is not connected to the server, they can easily do the thing from the cloud. So cloud
Exactly,
type
but
of thing, see, that is not there.
someone
That is
needs
not
to
there, or nobody has checked.
correct. No one has checked. So why we are discussing drill is, it should not be always an agenda or event driven. There are some level of awareness which should exist across all the team that whatever control we have applied so far, we should able to ensure that those controls are effective. And this is something which is grossly missing, and it leads to a situation where we end up being compromised. So a simple drill, a basic awareness of some do's and don'ts, and a very vigilant eye on the controls can help us to avoid disasters. So this is one of the case. And then another myth that probably all of us have seen, that this question comes into our mind: is drill necessary for an expert? This has been configured by such and such, and he is expert in this, so no need to look at that. Leave it. So don't disturb it. So in most of the enterprises, or even in some of the SMEs, probably all of us have seen that this is a myth which kills. Normally, people think this has been configured by, say, Sayed. He is master and in firewall, so no need to check that. Don't even disturb that. But if you look at this, so if he does, so why not we? We normally in the industry, those who takes care of the overall infrastructure or the security or the business, we play the similar role. We need to protect the three stumps behind, which is our asset, and we need to keep scoring, means we need to keep generating revenues. But we should equally be able to combat any attack that comes. So a regular practice, a regular drill is something which can only help us to mitigate the risk or reduce the chances of being attacked. So the objective is basically just to keep the situation under control and avoid disaster, nothing else. And if we avoid disaster, is basically that ensures business continuity, and we will keep earning money and keep doing business. And then I think we have little time. I'd like to bring a second different perspective. Can internal audit helps? Yes. The last situation, if we have a proper checking or methodology, or the methodology to do a proper due diligence, then we can avoid lot of incidences if we actually adopt a correct approach. So what we should gather necessary information at relevant point. We should analyze and identify and try to reach the root cause. It's normally we call it a fishbone analysis. Then we should mitigate the risk by planned treatment and conduct a drill to check the effectiveness of the control. I'd like to mention another case. If you please read the case 2. This is again a live scenario. Should request all of you to share your views one by one, and if you can tell me what action help them to avoid recurrence.
Tathagata, could you
Slide টা আসেনি।
No, the slide is not there.
yeah.
Tadagato, are you there?
Is it?
We are in the same.
Can you see the slide now?
Mitigate by plant treatment. We are in the now. It has come.
Oh,
No,
again it has gone back.
Yeah,
Can you see this?
yeah.
Yeah.
For this, the answer could be awareness. That is what I can see, because the controls were there.
Okay. Okay. Any other view?
Hello.
Yes.
This has happened because of the stringent data regulation policy of the client's company. The business development manager's company has applied stringent data protection measures.
May I know your name, please?
Shubhoshri.
Shubhoshri. So, do you think these stringent policies were applied at the organization of business development manager?
So this is the authority giving pay.
The data leak prevention tool was deployed at the customer's
That is
network.
correct. That is absolutely correct, and that it has functioned as per the requirement. There is no fault at that side.
Correct.
The fault is about the
Right.
authority. Who has the authority to change or bypass when required? That has not been identified properly.
Okay. Any other view?
Yeah, the manager should inform the client openly or before doing that exercise. Since the person is doing for a business requirement, so the client may not oppose him to do that. Instead of that, he wants to be over smart and he tries to do that. So essentially, that becomes a bad impression to the client.
It's basically a disaster for the organization. They have lost the potential client, they got blacklisted, and they have lost a number of clients in the same domain. So,
Did it actually
yeah.
happen? Did it actually
Yes.
happen?
Yes.
This may also be what I feel the person who went to the customer's place, that person's organization may not have these types of stringent policy. So this person is not aware or not accustomed with this type of working environment. That's, I think, creates some his mindset was not there that these types of things can happen. If it is there on his organization also, he will have an habit of the process and he knows this process exists and what the consequences of violating this process. Then this thing may not happen also.
Good
So it
point.
it is manager's personal fault, but also it's the fault of the service provider. Fault of the service provider that they are when dealing with these types of client or these types of business opportunity, they don't practice these things on their organization.
Okay. So, any other perception?
Some policy,
Yes,
policy
global
issues.
data driven policy.
Global data. Let's do it one by one, please. Yeah, please. Yes, someone. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yeah, there should be some kind of a regulation where kind of some GDP or something where the user is, I mean, the developers or data should not be taken out of a client network. So that kind of an policy should be implemented.
Where?
Regulation.
So policy will be applied where?
The regulation.
Where do you want to apply this policy?
These are the regulations which have to be okay. There are two things I'm implement. One is your even that can be taken as a printout. It can be even taken as a printout, and even that paper would have also been gone out of the client network. So that is one possibility. So two things are there. Where one is the human responsibility, and other one is the access control. Where it is implemented should be kind of an DLP that has been implemented here. So
To be
these are the
implemented where? The from in at which organization? So
this should
let
be
me throw some light. Yes, please.
okay. Yeah, please go.
Client network, sir. Means from client side, it should be implemented.
Okay, so can you expect your client to have more control because you are saying you are sending someone to steal data? You can't ask your client to enhance security posture because you will send a send a guy who will go and steal data from it, right? So there are three organizations. One organization who is actually a service provider who is trying to sell something, right? The second organization where the incident had happened, and the third organization is a prospective client. There are three organizations. So anyone is suggesting something, I would appreciate if you clearly say that where they want to apply the suggested control or
Service
policy or
provider.
awareness.
Service provider.
Service provider. Okay. Any other way?
Using the network from us, suppose a mobile network means we are connecting through mobile Wi-Fi. So how can we connect the service provider? Is it a
Hello.
client machine or a client side? Is it?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ সুপ্রদীপ বলুন কি
Just
খবর এই লকডাউনে কি অবস্থা
everything.
Okay.
And the ask is
আপনাদের
what
কাছে তো
action will
মানে ওয়ার্ক ফ্রম হোমেরই ব্যাপার মানে তাতে কোনো ইম্প্যাক্ট হওয়ার কথা নয় যেগুলো যদি ডিজিটালি যাচ্ছে তাহলে তো
Sorry. Yeah.
For the service provider organization, hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
From the,
Yes, I can hear you.
yeah, for the service provider organization, the HR should peep in and have stringent policies and should guide the employees what to do and how why not to use private emails.
অসুস্থ মানে পেমেন্ট
HR and IT department both has to peep in to control this. This is for the service provider organization.
আগামী সপ্তাহে আপনি কথা বলে নেবেন এমনি থেকে
Let me think about the rest.
আগে থেকেই দেওয়া ছিল যেহেতু আপনার সঙ্গে ইনিশিয়ালের পর আমার কথা হয়নি শম্পা সুকন্যা এরাই দেখছিল আপনার পেমেন্টের ব্যাপারটা ওরাই দেখে নেবে সেটা
So when the organization, the service providers, they approached us they have probably at that point of time they have decided to terminate the business development manager, and they have decided they have issued the letter, and he was on his last few days serving notice period. Why? Because he had some other information. So organization was actually taking the necessary information from them, and he was asked to leave. And also, he asked for our help that what action should they take to avoid recurrence. So the pointer is here: all action is to be taken by the service provider organization. From the service providers or side, they cannot ask their existing client or their prospective client to enhance their security measures, security postures, to to protect any to get rid of such incidences. They can say that my guys will go and try to extract data, so please enhance your this thing. To please have
Yes,
things so that no
exactly.
one can take. Yeah. So the
Exactly, you
thing,
are correct. I think
yeah.
subscriber is the main responsibility.
The business development manager, he, if we actually look at the psychology or the philosophy of this, that what he did is basically to bring business to the organization. His core intent was good. He was trying to make a very strong proposition on behalf of his organization so that he can bag a project. Here, he neither had any personal benefit or any objective or personal gain. So what he did, maybe it resulted into a bad situation, but his intent was completely in line with what he was supposed to do, because business development manager, sales guy, we all know, we use a very nasty term, we attach a very nasty term with them, that bechu babu, they just go and sell. But all know how difficult the task is in today's time to sell something, be it a course, be it a product, be it a service, whatever. So they always try to onboard clients and bring business, and he did the same thing. But he was also aware of some technology. He has guided his colleague that there could be a DLP sort of thing which can prevent them, or there could be some content filtering. But somehow it happened at the the existing client place, their DLP solution worked perfectly. That's what identified, and it generated an alert. But if the organization normally what they do, they terminate the employee, does not ensure that there will not be any recurrence, because tomorrow another person will join and he or she may take another route to onboard business. Key pointer, I do agree with the gentleman who said that there is a task of HR. Okay, yes, HR's involvement is definitely there, but the thing is, due course of the time, they will again face situation where to onboard a customer, they need more information. We all need information before we place our proposition to our client. So the thing which is missing here was a mechanism of collecting information through proper means. Means if they had an RFI, request for information, or KYC sort of thing, then and they need to conduct an awareness session with the sales team that yes, in order to onboard a business, you should have this kind of structured format available, which you can officially send it to your customer asking for relevant information, which would help you to revert with a good proposition. And then those information will come as a legitimate information through an authentic means from the customer, and you will be able to make a good proposal and submit this. So why this case I have referred here, because this drill is not restricted to IT. all the process operations, support functions, be it HR, operations, business development, the organization should be vigilant with the change in nature of the business, what kind of challenges they are facing, and accordingly they should come up with the new methodologies and processes. And these are also a type of drill that you should be vigilant and keep checking this what is going on, whether they are facing a problem. Having that kind of system in place would have helped the organization to avoid this kind of incident. So what we have suggested them, that no need to terminate the guy because his intention was good. So why don't you have a session with your entire sales team, and why don't you again look back your entire processes, procedure, that where you are lagging in order to the current business scenario. So they did it. They retained the business development manager. They have conducted a thorough awareness session. They have formulated a very structured RFI for their different business offering, and now the team started working fine. So the contention of putting this case particularly is to give you some feel that whenever we talk about drill, we start thinking big. No, the drills are very much essential at each and every function of business operation. It's not restricted to IT. It's not restricted to quote unquote the information security or cyber security team. Even an admin team, even a sales team, even a H team should also look into their processes and ensure continued suitability of the existing processes. So that can only ensure that the chances of any massive incident or disaster will get reduced. Any view on this?
Absolutely, Tathagata, what you have said regarding the drills. Drills are very, very important, not only in IT sector, but also in every part of our life, in every sections and every field, in every particles, basically. And so that we can manage to eradicate any type of disaster in the future. And
Correct. Yep.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah. So this almost yeah. Please.
I just want to add a small thing. You
Yes.
have said a term, Bechu Baba, that is a salesperson. I know. Most of the time, this has been asked to give to us also. I am
This is
also
very
having my own.
unfortunate.
No, this is on my own business also. But the thing is that it's a mindset problem. See, in
Correct.
today's world, human being by nature is a salesperson. See, when a baby born, a baby will cry for want of food or draws attention from the parents or other elder people.
Correct.
What is if you check properly, if you analyze properly, that is also the baby is also a sales guy. What he person is doing, he is trying to sell his problems to his parents or his or her parents. So she or he does not have a language, so they are crying and doing it. So he is also he is or she is also selling. See, every day in today's world we are selling. Account
Right.
person is also selling. These are accountant skill.
Right.
Uh, Salesperson is definitely selling. These are all sales skill.
Right.
CEO is also selling his skill. So everybody is selling. So I believe in organization everywhere. These types of soft skill training, when it happens, it should be given to all the employees, whether he is
Correct.
an accountant, whether he is an operation,
Correct.
whether he is an IT or any
Correct.
place, even in a manufacturing, that everybody is a salesperson here.
Yes, because we
Everybody
know
has to.
we term it core and support function, but without support no one exists. So support
No, no, that
function
is also
should
sales.
be equally
Support is
brought under the purview of drill or the full the purview of any awareness session. I fully agree with
everyone
you.
in when an
Everyone.
organization works from CEO to the security, everyone should be under the purview of a particular process and system.
Correct.
He's a support person. He is also a salesperson.
Yes.
What he is selling his own technical skill. On that, he is getting a salary and he is running his or her own family. So
Correct.
that person is also a seller. So everybody is a salesperson. So this perception, I think, in every organization, if the perception changes, these types of problems will automatically get avoided.
Correct.
Whether the policies are
Correct.
there in a very rigid way or not, and depends on the organization structure, or even or that comes with a use lot of commercial also. So in a
Yes.
small in a SME sectors, this is not there. I know the
Yes.
policies are
Probably the
not there.
guy.
So we don't know.
Yeah. Probably the guy who did this, he did not get prior exposure to this kind of scenario. So this is organization's responsibility to dig down and find out and do all necessary sessions. And if they just wait for an incident to happen, then they will start looking at, then will keep suffering. So drill
Yeah.
does not mean a very
Yes,
structured
yes.
thing. It should always should be occurring, and people should be vigilant, as I have been telling. And while we should not end up doing a mistake, that we should not jump into the conclusion very fast, because we should analyze, as I have shown in some of my slides. At first we gather information, right? Then we should analyze and identify the root cause, what went wrong. Then we should come up with a plan treatment. And so that's what I wanted to share.
Actually, this person has been scapegoated. The organization knows that this happens. They don't have the policy,
No,
so they
the
have to
good
blame
point is they
someone.
have
They have to
retained.
blame. Oh, acha,
Yes, but
then it's a good
the
thing.
good gesture is, once we win there, we analyze and we explain it to the CEO that this is what has happened, and his intent was not bad. Why he was doing this? Because he was trying to prepare a very good business case, which would help him to onboard a business, and the business will come to your organization only. So he understood, and he retained. So this is one good gesture that is shown by the organization. And they have started working on. So there are good and positive signs. So I'm almost in the last phase of my delivery. Time is also up, I think. So there's a part two, but no, I'm not going to do this. Maybe I'll do this during next phase of lockdown. So I have some use cases which I'll not do now. Like, whenever I get chance, I'll bring a forensic stuff of Punjab Maharashtra property bank scam that happened in November 2019. Maybe another scam at Punjab National Bank. The similar use cases that we have discussed today, two of them. So whenever I get chance, I will bring similar use cases, and I'll also love to know from you guys, and that can give us some idea, maybe some different perspective to looking at things. So that's all from my side. The normal convention is to ask for question, but I get scared. So hand over to Shushovon.
Yeah. So nothing to get scared actually. So floor is now open. I think anyone from the audience, you can unmute yourself to query.
No,
Anyone?
Tathagato, Dipajyoti, I got scared on your one word. Last you said that you will want to do a more session in the next phase of lockdown. So that statement has given me scared. Otherwise, it's okay, sir.
So that means you have prior
The
intimation.
contention is
Oh, बापरे. अब तो बिजनेस करने का कोई जगह ही नहीं बचेगा.
disaster everywhere.
Anyone else? I found Anirban Shur, he had raised hand earlier. Any queries, Anirban? I have unmuted yourself. If you have anything, you can shoot. Anyone else in the audience having any queries, any feedback, any personal experience sharing? Mr. Shetty, you want to add something? Mr. Shetty, are you there? Mr. Vittal Shetty. Mr. Kuljit Huda, if you want to add something. Okay, Mr. Pudandaram, I think you want to speak something. You raised your hand.
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead.
Dear
Yes,
speaker, you have been speaking us, telling us the precautions drills to be required. Can you concisely put it in few dots so that we will, as a layman, learn and take the practices to places where we are working? Can you do that for us?
sure. You know, if we look at the incidents happen because of some of the inherent weaknesses. So I can give you one example of that I had. I was conducting audit at one of the largest online selling platform providers. So I was inside the server room or the data center, which they called. So while coming out from the server room, I have seen the door of the server room get closed because it has a door closer. It was a biometric enabled server room door. It got closed, but it did not get locked because the door closer spring was maybe not tightened enough to push it to a locked scenario. So the situation was the door got closed but not locked. That means anyone, if it is if anyone is aware of, he or she can push the door and get inside the server room. So is it an incident? No, this is a weakness in the system. So anyone who any trespassing happened because of these weaknesses would have termed as an incident. Another example that I'm giving, then I'm coming into a conclusion. So in our workstations or in our laptops, we in our task tray we have an icon of antivirus. If we see an yellow exclamation mark, that indicates that it is not updated with latest patch, right? So is it an incident? No, this is an weakness. So if any virus outbreak happens, if it get affected by any malicious code, then it will be termed as an incident because it has happened for this antivirus definition, security definition not being updated. So any weakness that exists in the system can easily be identified by conducting a drill, and that thing can always be executed without any additional manpower. In all of our organization, we have seen that security, physical security management is outsourced to some third party. And if you actually look at those individuals, in 80% of them are from ex-army or from some other organization, and they get bored with their monotonous job of doing visitors entry and all. So if you enable them, if you train them, so in a lean period, if you just give a walk through the floor of the organization.
Yes, I could get it. Thank you.
Anyone else from the audience? If you don't have any queries, then we will be concluding the session. We are on the verge of conclusion. Anyone else wants to add some points, wants to share some feedback, or maybe you want to ask some questions? Nothing as such, so no queries as such so far. So Tathagato, you want to add some concluding remarks? Tathagato, are you there? Some voice problem with.
Can I ask something?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes.
Tathagata has delivered an excellent session. Thank you for that, and thank you, Shushovan, for organizing such lectures over the last few weeks. With regards to specifically this disaster, I would like to just add here that CCMP is a requirement for most of the organizations, but executable CCMP is a necessity. CCMP remains like some document
Yep.
which is hardly
Mm-hmm.
looked into and executed. I can just
Correct.
give one of my very
Correct.
first-hand experience when I was block development officer of Monteshwar in 2000, and there was a wide-scale flood all around my block. I could not even find out the block level,
Mm.
disaster management plan that I should have invoked at the time of flood,
Right, sir.
and that was completely at that point of time. It was completely, not digital. That means in physical form, and it was in somebody's almirah under lock and key. And when I brought it out, I understood that for the last 7 years, the disaster management plan had just changed the date and, just date and year. Actually, nothing inside had changed over the years. So, as in the state government of West Bengal, in the Department of IT, we have already during the last 4 years, we have already revised the CCMP, and in our present current revision, we are giving due stress upon executable CCMP. When we were looking into it, I came across a lot of organizations, even in the public private domain, power and transport, those health services. And even when I actually approached them and they shared on confidential basis their own CCMP, I found them completely illegible and absolutely non-executable. So when we are faced with such type of situations where this work from home might be a necessity in the future, TCS has brought out sort of some sort of I don't know, was it, if it was a public statement or press release saying that in the next 4 5 years they would rather try to reduce their strength, physical strength at the office by 25%. So they would definitely look more into allowing people to work from home because amount of work has increased and module level activities has become better. So from that perspective, when disaster is going to come, as it came, Maze ransomware for the company that we know, I'm not naming them, it has already come into newspaper. They have brought out public statements. They are saying that most of their data have been affected offshore rather. But we are, I don't know whether somebody is from those organizations today also, Shushovan, but there are other organizations in Kolkata who had been affected by Maze ransomware. And being in the Cybersecurity Center of Excellence, we had been actually approached by them. And we actually got them connected with NCI, APC, and CERTIN. But the issue is, and they are not coming out in public. They are not let others inform somebody. When it will come into the, you can say, dark domain. From there, somebody will pick it up, and some journal will publish. But that will be too little, too late. What I am wanting to refer here, why I have created so many long, my deliberation, is that the time has come, Shushovan and Tathagato, to actually give, give specific advisory, issue a specific advisory, give hand holding, help us, government, public, everybody, and peers and colleagues who are attending this seminar, actually work upon executable CCMP and have continuous drill for. That is my the question comes to, do you have any plan in store? Do you have a staggered approach towards that? Can you prepare a document upon that? how to go ahead. You cannot complete it by a day or within a considerable time period of time would require to complete it. So, do you have any answer to that? How we are looking at, because best practices, everything at the end of the day, we have to do something. And if we are required to do something, first of all, we should be handheld. We should understand how things happen, and we should undertake the drill in real terms. And our CCMP must be executed. Thank you so much.
Tathagata, you answer or I should at some point? Okay. So maybe Tathagata's signal is a little disturbing. So, as to answer your point, sir. So, for this ransomware thing, so if you have noticed, last 4 days we are doing in Infosec and Prime Infosec also, we have done some kind of workshops. The idea was to the audience in the holistic fabric to counter ransomware. It is not about putting some gateway level firewall and putting some endpoint. So endpoint EDR, gateway firewall, web application firewall, email security, sandboxing, all putting together, that will give some holistic result to counter this kind of ransomware kind of problem. It is not some isolated, because people are still working on I am having firewalls, so everything is secure. As we are working on a zero trust kind of a model, working from home, bring BOID kind of framework. So everything no longer only having perimeter security will help. So if you have seen the last few weeks, the way we have designed the topic, because people are moving towards cloud adoption. People are having multi-cloud situations. They have hybrid clouds. They have on-premise and cloud combination. So this kind of situations, this kind of ransomware and many other problems will prevail and will increase because we are not aware of the situation. So that's why chosen this kind of technical sessions. Apart from that, from Prime Infosa, we have created 2 advisories. One is for on Zoom and one is for Maze and Phone. So these are the few steps we have taken, sir. And any other steps along with government, definitely we can discuss and take it further.
So, Shobhan, I have not referred to that, what you have done. You have done excellent. That is what I started with. My request is to have an executable CCMP document, which we can lay our hands on. Definitely, those are the things to be put in place. But what sort of activity we should immediately start at the point of time when we understand or identify telltale signs of some sort of breach or disaster in the offing? What is to be done? I referred to the example of flood, like that there is tsunami and other things also. Those are physical disaster. We are talking about digital disaster.
Okay.
What sort of activity we should do? When I am referring to the executable CCMP, just imagine the organization who is getting this type of attack does not even want to publicize because they think their value, the P stroke E will be down, their value will be down, their goodwill will be lost. Actually, that is not. Coming out of the about the disease that I have will actually enable 2 things. I will be getting immediate results. Somebody will come ahead and give me some medicine, and others will be actually, can say, receiving this very pre-intelligence or information or intelligence so that they can take care, they can undertake those hygiene. And just imagine the company which has been coming to this for being hard hit by this maze ransomware. Can you understand that this maze ransomware came into existence in 2013, and these organization does not have anything to fight for that ransomware? Definitely they have WAF and everything. But even then, the whole ransomware had mutated. Your own advisory refers to that. I went through your advisory, and actually, if you look deep into it, you will find out that this will go on mutating like COVID-19. My request is what sort of immediate activity we should start whenever there is a telltale sign or we understand the disaster in the.
Sure, sir. Point noted. And with your thought process, why don't you take a session on Infosec next Saturday? Will you be okay? So then we'll plan accordingly.
Me?
Yeah. So kind of government is also
talking
taking a lot
about
of
me.
initiatives. So maybe we can highlight to all the audience the kind of initiatives government is also taking. We can highlight on that. Maybe
No problem.
better.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, sir. Thank
No problem.
So thank you everyone. Thank you all the participants. Thank you for taking time out in a Saturday morning. So though now
Thank you, Shushavan.
yeah, lockdown phase every day is Saturday and Sunday. Still, so thank you for your time. So we'll have one more session in next Saturday under Infosec Foundation. We'll keep you posted. Look forward your active participation and enthusiasm as always we have. Thank you. We are going to end the today's session. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tathagato. Thank you all the participants. Thank you.